So when you understand how Facebook ads actually works, you won't have to keep watching videos for new strategies over and over again. Because by understanding what you can influence, you can start getting creative with your own campaigns and find something new that works for your unique business. Your margin profile is different, your fulfillment and operations is different, your cost of goods are different. So it doesn't make sense to blindly follow random strategies that you find online, because that strategy might have worked for them, but in all likelihood, it probably won't work for you. So how can you understand Facebook ads on a fundamental level that allows you to get creative and start figuring out a solution that actually does work for your own unique business, that allows you to get creative with your campaigns? Because once you know the Lego blocks that you have to work with, you can then finally start piecing them together one piece at a time to build your masterpiece. So for this example, let's pretend we're running some kind of offer. And this offer is specifically a reading subscription. Okay, so something to do with books. You're allowing people to read books on an ongoing basis. Okay, and the price point for this offer is, let's say, $50 per month. I know my handwriting sucks. And our acceptable customer acquisition cost, or cost per acquisition, is $30. That's all we can afford to acquire each new customer, meaning that if it costs us $35 to get a sale, we're losing money for whatever reasons, fulfillment. I know SaaS works very differently, but let's pretend that's how it works. And let's also pretend that we're fairly new to Facebook ads. So that means that our account is pretty fresh and our pixel data is pretty much non-existent at this point. So that means that we pretty much have no historical data to work with. So this is how it typically works, right? So we have a Facebook ad and we want to throw this ad at a Facebook audience. And let's say that our first audience that we're trying to target on Facebook is an interest segment of book lovers, right? So, and let's pretend that this particular interest segment on Facebook has a pool of 10 million people, because we're offering some kind of reading subscription, right? So it makes sense that we're trying to target people who are into books. So book lovers. Okay, great. There's 10 million people in this segment, or at the very least, that's what Facebook tells us. Now, the first thing that we need to be aware of when it comes to this particular interest segment on Facebook is that there's going to be a large scope in terms of the variability of people inside this group. The group's so big, there's so many people in it, that you can't treat everybody in this group the same way, because we don't really know how Facebook kind of lumps people into this group. There could be one person inside this 10 million user group that Facebook deems to be a book lover, and maybe this particular person reads 20 books a day, has done for the last 20 years, engages and likes posts to do with books every single day, multiple times. Of course, based on what they're doing on Facebook, Facebook knows this, sees this, and they're going to include this person inside this segment. But on the other end of the spectrum, there could be this one person who clicked on this one post about books this one time, maybe 3 months ago, never clicked anything on books ever again, but Facebook took that data point and said, I'm going to throw you also into this group of book lovers. Can you see now how just the variance of people inside this book lovers interest group is so wide and different that that's the reason why you can't treat everybody in this group the same way? So when I set up my first campaign with this particular Facebook ad, let's say my daily budget is $10 a day. So I'm spending $10 a day telling Facebook to please deliver my ad at $10 a day to this interest segment of book lovers of 10 million people. And by the way, this could be an ad set level, it could be a CBO, it doesn't really matter. For the purposes of this explanation, I'm just going to keep it simple, okay? So we're just throwing $10 a day to this interest group on Facebook. Now, Facebook doesn't actually serve impressions randomly across the whole segment of 10 million people. I'm going to pick you, I'm going to pick you, I'm going to pick this person and that person, because we know, and Facebook knows, that we can't treat everybody in this group the same way. Some people are going to be more likely to buy and take us up on our offer than other people, because we're trying to prioritize our campaign for sales, for a conversion, right? That's our objective of this campaign. And we've told Facebook this, to find us people who will buy our product. So that's what Facebook's trying to do for us. Now, as Facebook begins learning who to actually serve more impressions towards because they have a higher chance of buying our offer, over time, as Facebook starts serving impressions here and there and here and to this person, behind the scenes, Facebook's actually going to end up slicing this segment into smaller and smaller sample sizes. And they're doing this behind the scenes, by the way. We have no control over this. This is just how Facebook's optimizing their targeting and user selection for our particular campaign at the $10 a day budget that we've set. So over time, Facebook's going to start making this 10 million user pool smaller and smaller as it starts learning who it should serve ads to and who it shouldn't. It's going to start learning, okay, this person's buying, this person's not buying, and it's figuring out the patterns of what type of person based on all the information they have, all the data points they have on everybody, because they have loads, right? In terms of what music you're into, what TV shows you watch, what news publishers that you follow. It uses all of those data points to really figure out the types of people and starts grouping people into, okay, this group of people is likely to buy our offer, right? And these people aren't. That's what Facebook's doing behind the scenes. And eventually, Facebook's going to settle on a sample size of people that has just enough people to accommodate the $10 a day budget that we've set, while also having as many people inside this group that have the highest chance of converting on our offer. So at this perfect sample size, Facebook's going to serve all of our ads to these people. And let's say that this campaign at $10 a day is now converting sales at $30 per customer, right? Customer acquisition cost is $30. As we've established, that's perfect because that is our limit as to what we can afford to pay in order to acquire a new customer. Anything more than that, and we actually lose money. So this is good. We found something that is working on Facebook at $10 a day. So every 3 days, we're getting a sale. Now, the problem is, and I'm sure this is something that everybody experiences, is now that I've found something that's working and I know it's profitable, the next logical step, of course, is to scale this and to grow this and to put more money into it. Because if I'm putting in $30 and I'm getting $50 in return, then I want to keep putting more money into it, right? But if it's that easy, why is it that whenever you scale the daily budget to, let's say, we're going to take the daily budget to now $30 a day, why is it that when you do that, everything breaks and suddenly your customer acquisition cost just goes through the roof? And the reason for that is when you increase the budget, one of Facebook's criteria to maintain a good user experience is that it doesn't want to spam people on Facebook, normal people browsing and scrolling through their feed. It doesn't want to spam people with tons and tons of the same ad. That makes the experience very, very bad. And when that happens, people don't want to use the app anymore. Facebook needs to spread your ads to a wide enough selection of people where they don't feel like they're getting spammed by your ads. So when you increase the daily budget, Facebook has no choice but to, again, increase the sample size that it was working to previously. And when it does this, it's reintroducing people into your sample size that it had previously disqualified. These are people that it had previously disqualified when it was reducing the sample size to accommodate your $10 daily ad budget level. And at that sample size, that's the most concentrated group of people. The best possible people are inside that $10 a day segment. The best possible users, based on Facebook's learning, that have the highest chance of converting on your offer exist inside this $10 a day segment size or sample size. So when you increase it to 30, you're introducing people that it had previously disqualified into your new sample size. So these are people that aren't as high quality as the people that made it into your $10 a day segment. So by that logic alone, of course, your customer acquisition cost is going to increase because it's going to be more expensive to convert these people. They're not as warm to your offer. It's going to take a bit more pushing. And by that, it means that you're going to have to spend a bit more to acquire them as a customer. And that's when people hit a brick wall and they get stuck and they think, oh shit, where do I go from here? I have no idea what to do now. It was working before, but now it's not working. It must mean that Facebook ads doesn't work or paid social isn't right for the business. And they make all of these excuses because they don't know how to fix it. And they're watching YouTube videos trying to find the solution. But really, when you understand everything I've just explained to you, it makes sense, right? Because now that we know this, it means that we can find the balance of what works for our own unique businesses. Because if I know that my target customer acquisition cost is $30, then I can revolve all of my campaigns around this particular KPI. Let's go back to how Facebook's optimizing this and actually reducing the sample size to optimize to your $10 budget. Now, we can't control how Facebook's shrinking and growing and determining the right sample size for our particular ad or campaign. And there's an element of luck there as well, because based on where they took the initial size sampling of the 10 million user group, that could lead a chain reaction of how that ultimately ends up for you. So there is an element of luck there, and we can't control those things. But what we can control is the ad itself, that is being exposed to this group that Facebook's doing the testing on. So what are the things that we can control, right? We can control the ad, right? We can control the creative. We can control the copy, the headline. We can control the landing page. We can control the email flows, sequence, nurturing. We could control all of these things because all of these things combined is everything that Facebook's throwing into our 10 million user group. And the learning that's happening on Facebook's side as it's kind of reducing the sample size behind the scenes on our 10 million, interest segment that we're targeting our ad into, the conversions are happening based on the offer that we're promoting and getting in front of these people. And what we've discovered is that by showing all of these people this particular ad or this particular creative or this copy, it's going to get us a $30 acquisition cost. These are the things that we can control. So the way that we influence the customer acquisition cost is by changing the ad, changing the creative, trying a different copy, trying a different hook, a different headline. These are the things that we can control. So in our campaign so far, we know that if we spend $10 a day, we're going to get a $30 acquisition cost. That's great. Okay, let's leave it alone, right? Whenever we try to scale this particular ad above $10 a day, we know that the CPA also is going to increase to a level that doesn't work for us and our business, our particular book subscription offer, right? Let's leave it alone. Let's dial it back to $10 a day, know that it can work at that level, and let's play around with the things that we can control and throw it back into that targeting to see how this new ad resonates with this audience. Because we know that this interest segment of 10 million book lovers, the variance, as we already established, is so wide between all of these different users. Some people might like horror books, some people might like thriller stories, some people are into documentaries or sci-fi or biographies. There are so many different types of books. It's very rare that one person would love everything to do with books. So what if in our ad we make a theme and theme it around horror stories, right? Our creative is something, is spooky. We add some pumpkins or whatever, right? And then we serve this ad to the exact same 10 million people of book lovers, right? What's going to happen is the people who start converting onto this particular ad and of course our landing page will have to be also congruent with this theme to keep things in line, right? You want the journey to follow the same story. Facebook's going to see a different type of people inside this 10 million group of book lovers start to convert on our horror pipe, right? We call this the horror pipe, or this is what I call it. Okay, we're making pipes. The idea is we're stacking pipes to scale and grow our campaigns in a cost-efficient way. So over time, once again, Facebook is going to start slicing and dicing this 10 million people until it can find a sample size that accommodates our, let's just say, $10 budget a day on this new one, okay, where it's concentrated with full of the people who are most likely to buy when they see our horror ad. And we found that at a $10 a day budget, we're getting an acquisition cost of $20 per sale. I can't draw dollar signs anymore. CPA. That's awesome. We still have some good margin there to try and play around with the campaign. Because now, let's say we want to up the budget from $10 a day. Let's say we want to take it to $50 a day. This is our new budget. We're attempting to scale now, something that is working. We find that the CPA, it goes to $30. We've scaled while still keeping the CPA, the customer acquisition cost, on KPI, which is $30. And again, what's happened is Facebook's been re-expanding our sampling, and at the new level that accommodates to the $50, the conversions that are happening in this sample size is giving us a $30 per conversion. Perfect. Now, what happens now is that, of course, we don't know if this is the limit yet. So we want to push this to, let's say, $60 a day. And Facebook's going to do its thing and kind of expand, reintroduce people into our sample size. But what happens now is that our CAC, our customer acquisition cost, now hits $35 per sale. And this doesn't work for us. As we've established, anything above 30 breaks the business. So we dial this back down to $50 a $50 budget, because we know at $50 budget, at least we know that the sample size that Facebook's learned and found can meet us at a $30 acquisition cost. Great. Let's leave it there. Don't touch it anymore. Let it sit and just rack up the conversions. We're stacking pipes to buy us time to find other winning areas, other winning ads and campaigns. In the long run, the way to scale at scale is really with lookalike audiences at the moment in 2022, 2023. This is the way to scale. But remember, this is a fresh and brand new Facebook ad account where we need to give and feed Facebook the learnings, the conversion learnings that we want Facebook to learn. And this is how we do it. So we have two pipes now. We have one pipe that is spending $10 a day, and that's netting us a $30 CPA. And now we have a $50 day campaign, and that's also netting us at a $30 CPA. We've scaled. We're now spending $60 a day, and it's working, right? We've kept to the same customer acquisition cost. So let's keep going, right? The same interest segment group, book lovers, 10 million people. Let's make a new ad and customer journey themed around, let's say, I don't know, sci-fi, right? That's my favorite. Okay, so, and we throw this ad. Facebook's going to start learning again, and it's going to find a sample size that fulfills our budget. Let's say our daily ad budget now is $50 per day. And let's say at this sample size, we're getting conversions at $20. Amazing. Lots of sci-fi lovers inside this book lovers group, right? Whatever. Great. When we push this to $70 a day, this breaks. It goes to $40 customer acquisition cost. Fine. We dial it back down to $50, right? We found another winning pipe. This is the sci-fi pipe, right? So now we have three pipes. We have a $10, $50, and another $50 a day, $60 a day. I can't remember what I said. I can't read my handwriting. It's that bad. But can you see how we're adding campaigns, we're adding budgets, we're stacking the pipes. Each one of them we know are optimized to a $30 customer acquisition cost. Before we know it, we're spending $200 a day, right? And we're getting sales for a $30 CAC, right? That's how we scale in the short term as we build the conversion data on Facebook, as we start growing on the ad account. It's a long-term play, guys. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And this is how you do it. So to recap, Facebook's learning, its sample sizing, it changes depending on what you're feeding it. Just by changing the image, the creative, or just changing the headline or the first sentence in your ad copy, that can change what happens to the conversions and how Facebook learns who resonates with your ad. And so that's what directly influences ultimately the conversion cost, the cost it takes to acquire a new customer, or the cost it takes to acquire a sale. So hopefully that all makes sense. And if you found this video useful, please consider giving this video a like and a subscribe. I'm a YouTuber now for saying that. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. And if I can help, I'll help. If I can't, I'll try and point you in the right direction. So that's it. Take care. Have a great, fantastic rest of your week. And speak to you very soon.